morning, awesome saucers. Welcome again to another day in the backyard apiary. So today is really a feeding day, right? So based on all the inspections I've done so far, I've kind of done that assessment into understanding the kind of food stores each hive has in, and I'm going to basically now be supplementing them to aid in what I want them to do in terms of development of brood and population, right? So today I'm going to be feeding every single hive at least 2 cups of sugar syrup, and then with the exception of number 4, 6 and 10, which will be getting an extra 2 cups. And the reason I'm feeding them that more is because of the bee coverage, right? So the more bees are in there, the more bee coverage I see, the more I'd feed them, you know. And again, I don't want them to store it. What I want them to do is just use it as a meal for the rest of the month going into August, you know. And one additional thing I'm going to show you here that I have here, these are basically pollen patty, right? And these are, I actually made them in terms of getting the ingredients and putting them together. Now, one of the main ingredients in this, it's called Ultra B pollen substitute, and I procured it from a bee supplier called Man Lake Limited, right? It's really a crude protein. How I made this is basically I mixed that Ultra B pollen substitute with sugar water, a little bit of coconut oil. Basically what that does, you mix it into somewhat of a cake mix dough kind of texture, and then all I did was just put it in some bags to store it in the fridge. So what I'm going to be doing now is I have 5 of these and it's 10 colonies, so I'm basically going to try and cut it in half and give each colony 1 piece, all right, with trying to give the ones with the higher bee coverage the larger pieces. So today it's a double type feeding today in terms of the pollen patty and the sugar syrup. One, there's not much of a great pollen source right now, and 2, based on the observations I saw, most of the hives had less than 2 frames of pollen in there, with even one of them I wasn't seeing any pollen. So this would come in handy for those kind of colonies that have low pollen stores at this time. All right, so all of them basically cut up right now, so I have 10 pieces. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go for a patty. I know this colony, when I looked through it, they never had any pollen frames in there, so I'm gonna try and give them the biggest pollen patty I can. All right, so all I did was just to open the bag, and I'm gonna now just lay it down over the brood frames. All right, and then I'll show you that they'll actually go straight to it and start eating it. All right, so let's see if I can clear them out of the way. Alright, the smoke not working with me at all. Alright, so let's just drop this down in there, and then just give it a sec, and I'll show you that they're straight at it and they start eating. So see how they're crowding around it? They start eating it already. Yeah? Alright, so what I'm gonna be doing now is dropping in a cup of the sugar syrup for them. Alright, so this is pretty much how the sugar syrup looks. Very dark. Alright, I'm going to just damp a little bit in the hive to get that scent going for them. So there you go, pretty much it. How I feed my bees. Give them not all the time I'll have the pollen patty. These are really the last batch, well, the second to last batch. I have 5 more pieces that I'll be feeding later down, probably next month. Ideally these colonies can get more much more pollen patty than I'm actually giving them, because what I have is sparing. Alright, so pretty much every one of the hives got a piece of pollen patty. I tried to give the larger hives the bigger chunks of patty, because they have, and it's obvious the larger one gets the larger patty really, because I kind of have the patty sparingly, so I have to do that. Alright, so I can't really give them a big chunk as I would like to. Now the next thing is the sugar syrup. So based on my assessment that I did in prior weeks and days, every single hive got at least 2 cups of sugar syrup, with the exception of 6, 10 and 4. Now 6 and 10 both got 4 cups, and then now number 4 got an extra 2, so they literally got 6 cups of sugar syrup for number 4. Alright, and the reason again is really because of the bee coverage that I saw in there is very large, so they will be able to utilize that amount of sugar syrup without storing a lot of it. Right, if I gave any of the other colonies, they potentially would store it. So that's pretty much what I did today. So what, as I said guys, the key thing is to try and not to let them store it, so you're not going to give them a lot of sugar syrup in one go. So that's pretty much it for now guys. How I feed them, what I feed them, and on what basis I fed them on, and as you know, it's really the 4 things I looked at: the pollen in the colonies, the bee coverage, the brood frames, and the number of frames with a honey arch on it. Alright, so that's the kind of assessment I do. I don't just randomly throw sugar syrup in there. I try to have an idea what they have and see how much I can give them. Granted, how much I'm giving them right now is not the gospel of what they should be fed. Ideally you can feed them more, but for me, I'm trying to assess the storage capacity of how much I feed them. Right, so right now I don't know the optimal amount I should feed them, so doing these kind of observations and experiments will give me that knowledge going forward and as well as in the future. Thanks for tuning in guys. Again, your time was greatly appreciated. So like, share with your friends, hit that subscription and notification bell so you can see when more videos come out. Alright, and enjoy the rest of your week and weekend, and peace out.